Good afternoon and welcome everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day today. Today we're here for a special day. Today we are here honoring all of our veterans, all the people that have served to help keep our country safe over the years. And Veterans Day is a special day, especially for me, because there are a bunch of people in my family that have served in the military, and they hold a special place in my heart. One of those people is my father. He's actually here today, and he served in the Vietnam War. He was a member of the Navy. Also, in addition to that, my brother-in-law is currently serving in the Army as well, and he's served in various places throughout the world. I need to give a very special thank you to Mrs. Arlenga Buse, as well as to Mr. Fay for helping organize today's events. They have put in countless hours to try and make this the best program that it possibly could be, and they've done an excellent job. I'd also like to thank all of our second grade students that are back here right now for all the hard work that they have put in to learn all the songs and get everything ready to go. A big performance like this doesn't come off without a lot of hard work by a lot of people, and I'm very appreciative that we have so many people committed to making this the best day that it can be. So I'd like to once again thank all of our honored guests that are in attendance here today for their service, as well as for coming out today to help support our kids and show them what serving our country is all about. Without any further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Fay and our second grade students.
When Francis Scott Key saw the American flag flying above Fort McHenry during the Battle of Baltimore in 1812, he was inspired to write the historic poem Defense of Fort McHenry.
That poem would later be put to music to become the Star-Spangled Banner. The song would become the official American national anthem on March 3, 1931. Our second grade students will now lead us to sing of our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Would everyone please face the American flag and cover your heart with your right hand. On the 11th of November every year, and is celebrated in all over the country with parades and celebrations. Veterans Day takes place on November 11th because in 1918 at 11 a.m. World War I ended. That day became known as Armistice Day. In 1954, President Eisenhower made Veterans Day a national celebration. So now, every year on the 11th day of the 11th month, we honor all American military veterans who have honorably served our country. Here to perform a brief skit about what a veteran is, our second graders William Desiato, Alec DePorsa, Stephen Smith, Kiera Fitzgerald.
Are you sure a veteran can be a woman? I'm sure. Really sure? Yeah.
Hey, did you bring the markers and paper?
Yes, I have everything we need for our pictures and drawings.
What are we going to draw?
Silly, you know we're here to research veterans and the Veterans Day holiday on November 11th. How do I draw a veteran? I don't even know what it is.
A veteran is a who and not a what. You better start by going to the dictionary and looking up the definition of a veteran.
What do you mean a veteran is a who?
Go look it up. We use the definition in our project.
Is a veteran a person?
Go look it up in the dictionary.
All right. Here it is. A veteran is a person who has served in the armed forces, an experienced soldier, especially one who has served in time of war. And Veterans Day is a legal holiday in the United States honoring all veterans of the armed forces.
See, a veteran isn't what? It's a person who died for our country. They're the ones that get flags put on their graves on holidays.
No. Veterans isn't always someone who died in a war or even fought in a war at all.
She's right. A veteran is a man who has served in the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, or Air Force.
Well, you're half right.
What do you mean I'm half right?
Well, women can be veterans too. Many women have served our country in the armed forces in times of peace and in times of war. Women can be veterans too.
You mean a veteran doesn't have to have been in the war?
No, just having to be in the armed forces makes a person a veteran.
Wow, veterans are really special people, aren't they? I mean, if a person is in the armed forces and we have a war, then they have to go, right?
No, not really. Veterans are people who have already served but are no longer in the armed forces of our country. My grandfather is a veteran. He was in the Korean War, and my uncle is a veteran. He was in the Navy.
You know, veterans really are special people, and they deserve to be honored with a holiday.
There are a lot of patriotic songs that honor veterans and our country. Maybe we can include a song with our project.
I think there's a songbook over here that has all the words to patriotic songs. Veterans Day would be a good time to remember and to thank veterans for all they have done for us and for our country. Hey, I've got it. Let's sing the song that the great American composer Irving Berlin wrote when he was immigrating to the United States from Russia.
Great idea!
Let's sing God Bless America.
Would everyone please join in the singing of Irving Berlin's God Bless America? Your Grand Old Flags is an American patriotic march. The song A Spirited March, written by George M. Cohan, is a tribute to the American flag. In addition to its references to the flag, incorporates snippets of other popular songs. It quickly became the first song from the musical to sell over 1 million copies. Here is Your Grand Old Flag.
Welcome, veterans. Thank you for coming today, parents, staff, teachers, students, and second graders. You guys are doing an amazing job. Can't wait to hear the rest. This is our 5th annual Veterans Assembly. We're very proud to be running this for 5 years, and also happens to be the 100th year anniversary of the end of World War I. I'm proud to introduce our guest speaker, Susan Sansenbacher. Susan is no stranger to our school. She has been in attendance, I believe, in almost all of our past Veterans Assemblies. And we're honored to have her serve as our guest speaker today. She's a living proof that women, too, can be veterans. Susan was born and raised in Columbiana County and graduated from East Palestine High School in 1978. Following that, she entered Westminster College in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania, and graduated in 1982. She enlisted in the Army from 1984 to 1987 and earned the title Sergeant. Following that, she worked for 12.5 years in computer services at the Westerville Public Library, then 7.5 years as a contractor in support of the U.S. Air Force. She is a member of the Northeast Ohio Women Veterans and was past Second Vice Commander of District 9 of the American Legion from 2017 to 2018. In addition, she was past First Vice Commander of the Mahoney County Council of the American Legion. She is currently a service officer for Post 177 of the American Legion in Canfield and American Legion of Mahoney County Council Commander. We are most honored to have you here today, Susan, and it is really exciting to see our first female veteran speak. This is of great benefit to our young girls, to see a female's capabilities in the military. What do you think, ladies? Girl power. And really to all of us here today. Now I would like to turn the program over to you. Let's give Susan Sansenbacher a warm C.H. Cardinal welcome.
And I served as a sergeant with the 101st Airborne Division, 311th Military Intelligence Battalion, as a counter-signal intelligence intelligence specialist during the 1980s. And if that isn't a mouthful, I don't know what is. But just for your information, since most people, even my own high school, couldn't pronounce my name, you can just call me Sarge for today. Let me start out by saying that we're here to celebrate Veterans Day. It's a day set aside to celebrate all the men and women who have served this country in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, or Coast Guard. I want to recognize that this year is the 100th anniversary since the guns went silent and the shooting stopped, effectively ending World War I. 100 years is a very, very long time, and we all know World War I, the Great War, the war to end all wars. Sadly, it did not do so. I'd like to take a second here to announce another 100-year anniversary. This is for the American Legion, a veterans organization of which I represent. We are celebrating 100 years throughout this year and next of helping veterans in various ways. Locally, you may know us from the flags we put on the veterans' graves and the veterans' parking signs, which have started popping up all around Canfield. Please do look for them. Raise your hand if any of you have encountered a woman veteran before today. Wow, there's a few, there we go. Now, how many of you know a male veteran? Everybody, yeah, quite a few more. Now, why is that? Well, part of that is very simple. I personally don't know too many women who go around wearing a hat that says U.S. Army on them, or wear a jacket that says, I'm a Marine. We don't do that. Another reason is there's just not a lot of us around. For every 100 women in the United States, 1 or 2 are veterans. In comparison, for every 100 men in the United States, 13 or 14 are veterans. In Ohio, there are 67,000 female veterans versus 800,000 male veterans. You are simply more likely to know a man who has served in the military versus a woman who has served, just because there are a lot more of them. I want to get in today a little bit because everybody always asks, how come you joined the military? Well, let me tell you something. I grew up in the 1960s. I turned the TV on every day and there was the Vietnam War coming into my living room. I was your age. Well, that was a long time ago. So, I didn't know much about it. Then I went to college in New Wilmington, got a degree in speech, one of the reasons I'm up here, and tried to get a job. This was in 1982. Now, I don't know if any of you know your local history, but the steel mills had closed, and there were no jobs. And quite frankly, I couldn't stay around and try to find one, because there weren't any. So I said, I think I'll go join the Army. And off I went. And I went to basic training at Fort Dix. I went to advanced individual training, or what we call AIT, up at Fort Devens, Massachusetts, which is intelligence, was at the time. Little bitty base. And then I was stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. You'll know them as the Screaming Eagles. We have an eagle patch on our shoulder. And that's where I stayed. And some people say, well, why didn't you stay in the military? Well, I'll tell you the truth. I'm lousy at running. I hate it. But I was good at my job. And so, with diligence, I made sergeant. When I went in, I tried to make officer. They didn't want me. They said, what are you doing? You're a liberal arts major. Blah. We want engineers. Not too many of those. We want a lawyer. Well, I wasn't a lawyer, obviously. We want chaplains. Are you a chaplain? No. Well, too bad. So I said, I'll go ahead and enlist you. Now, my mother, who was pretty liberal for the time, when I was in school, they wanted me to do this and that and something else, like take home economics. I had no choice as a woman. I wanted to be an audiovisual club. Well, you're a woman. What the heck would you want to do that for? I don't know, because I wanted to. So we pounded some heads and I got in. And the next thing you know, the very next year, there wasn't just 2 of us. There was half a dozen of us. So it proved that women were interested if you let them. When I went into the military, I remember one of the exercises they did. They had 13 of us try to move a safe that probably weighed several hundred pounds with no tools and no little hand truck. Oh, they said to the guys, no, you're not allowed to help. They were trying to put us in our place. And you know what? It took us a little longer, but we moved it. So I'm going to tell you something, girls. You can do it. It might take you a little longer. You might have to try a different way. But if you try hard enough, you can make it. So I stayed in the military, and I got out, and I became a computer nerd. Very early in the game, before they had computer science majors. In fact, in college there were 6 computer science majors. 6 out of 350. It wasn't a whole hell of a lot, and I wasn't a computer science major. But it was another field that was male-dominated. And once again, I got a lot of teasing and a lot of stuff that said, well, why are you doing this? And, oh, you're an idiot. I wasn't an idiot. So again, it happens. But you know what? Does that happen nowadays? Are women going into computer science, kids? Oh, yeah, they are. Not as many. You're right. Not as many. But they are doing it. So I think my idea here is that if you want something bad enough, okay, and if you want to go into the military, I'm going to tell you something right now, it's not an easy field, especially for women. But if you want it, you can do it. You can become computer science majors. You can become technicians. And it's much easier for you today than it was for me. So set your goals high and strive for them. The attitude and the attitude for women serving in the military has changed. Women, when I enlisted in 1984, were allowed into many fields, but not all. We were not allowed into 23 fields in the Army, which meant no combat, no artillery, none of the fun, exciting things that you think about if you're a guy. Oh, I think I'm going to go shoot somebody now. Number one, not being. We'll get into that in a second. The laws on that really started changing in 1967. When I was 7 years old, and some of you guys are 7 years old right now, that's when they started changing. I'm only 58 now. In 1967, they changed the rules to allow the number of women serving to increase. They weren't even allowed in it. What rank they could achieve rose. In 1976, women were first allowed into West Point, into the Naval Academy, into all of the academies. I was 16. The first class of women to graduate was in 1980 when I was 20. Things have changed. Now, women can go into just about anything they want. They can become Army Rangers. They can go into combat ships, submarines, jet fighters. All those things that were closed off to me. Physical training standards will soon be gender and age neutral. Today, The soldier's creed no longer begins and ends with, I am an American fighting man. Now it says, I am an American soldier, a warrior, a member of a team. And every military branch follows a code of conduct that begins, I am an American, not a man or a woman. I'm an American, fighting in the forces which guard my country and our way of life. Teamwork, men and women, boys and girls serving equally, side by side to accomplish the mission, is a standard that we can all learn from and work to achieve. Something else to think about this Veterans Day. Did you know that only 1 in 10 ever actually sees combat? Now sometimes it's easy to think that every veteran we meet sees combat, especially as our exposure to military duty may be what we see in movies or television or video games such as Call of Duty. There are approximately 800 different jobs in the military today, from parachute rigger to fireman, law enforcement, maintenance, transportation, public relations, even graphic design is available. Each and every one in its own way supports the mission of the armed forces. We are all a team. We all have to support each other. I want to thank you again for listening, and I hope you learned a little today. I encourage you, though, to meet a few veterans, ask them what they did, listen to their stories, and then thank them for their service. I know a number of you have sent cards and visited veterans, and I know you have a little celebration planned for us now. So with the entire veterans community of which I represent, male and female, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, we, the veterans community, thank you for doing this for us.
Thank you, Susan, for that wonderful message that we all needed to hear. Before we get started with introduction of guests, I just want to throw a few more thank yous out there. We have a lot of people, besides Mr. Fay and I, that make this possible, and it's a team effort here as well. I would like to thank Miss Heidi Snyder, our 4th grade teacher, for spending countless hours drawing the mural that you see up on the whiteboard up front. I know she put a lot of time into it. I asked her to do a short sketch. Well, she never goes small, she always goes large and supersized. So thank you, Miss Snyder, it's beautiful. We'll use that for years to come. Mrs. Whitman and Mrs. Zanko, I appreciate the wonderful reception and the spread that you put out for our veterans and our PTA. Thank you very much. 2nd graders, you are awesome. You blow my mind every year. Let's give a round of applause to the 2nd graders. Mr. Lavery, thank you for the opportunity, for allowing us to do this, and just giving us the bowl and letting us do what we want to do. Thank you, Mr. Lavery. Mr. George Malich, he's our computer technician in our district for videotaping and using his expertise to make sure that goes on our school website. Thank you, Mr. Malich. He never wants to come out, that man behind the curtain. But Mr. Williamson, will you please come out? Thank you for all you're doing with the technology. Always a gift. We need more than a limb. We want to see your face. And also for Mrs. Cassie Mosier-Oles, beloved daughter of Mrs. Mosier, our 2nd grade teacher, who will be leading us in our song at the close of the assembly. Thank you for sharing your talents with us. Veterans Day, you know, is one of the most important holidays celebrated by our country, in my opinion. We are honored to have all of you veterans present today, and we thank you for taking time out of your schedules to attend today's assembly. Veterans, both living and deceased, have sacrificed in so many ways. Students of C.H. Campbell, please remember, it is important for you to understand that our freedom and sacrifice go hand in hand. We don't have one without the other, and it's the veterans we have to thank for that. Veterans have given time away from family. Many have been injured, and some have given the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. A lot of things come first for our veterans. Country first, mission first, comrades first. That's what veterans do. They put others first before themselves. All of you here today are military brothers and sisters. You guys are superheroes. All of you, men, women, are superheroes. And boys and girls, they're not wearing capes or costumes, but they all share common superpowers. And those are powers of bravery, courage, dedication, honor, service, and integrity. Today we recognize veterans, and it is the day that we put you first, not just today, but every day. You don't have to live in a military town to know veterans. They're all around us. Sometimes wearing just a service cap or a military t-shirt, other times just blending into the background, and it's up to us, all of us, to ensure that every veteran feels that his or her service to this country is appreciated. We appreciate you. We at C.H. Campbell love you and appreciate you. A flag that is blown over a grave of a deceased veteran, as well as a supersized Hershey bar. Chocolate is symbolic for our veterans. Why? I will tell you. I mentioned it last year, but probably forgot. Military chocolate has been a part of standard United States military rations since the original Ration D or D ration bar of 1937. Today, military chocolate is issued to troops as part of basic field rations and as a morale booster. It's a high-energy snack, and sometimes it's pocket-sized. Military chocolate rations were often made in special lots to military specifications for weight, size, and endurance. The majority of chocolate issued to military personnel is and has been produced by the Hershey Company. Since you are our superheroes, we have supersized the bars for you. So enjoy. Please stand, and then our second graders will award you with a supersized chocolate bar and a flag. Steve McQuain, branch of the Army. He is a Vietnam veteran. In 1969, he served at the age of 19 years old. Thank you for your service. Mike Kibitza, U.S. Army, retired and present commander of the American Legion in Canfield. Thank you for your service. Chuck Coleman, U.S. Army, retired, and also a member of our Canfield American Legion. Bob Timms, Army, 1965 to 1974. He was a tank commander in the Vietnam War. Of course, Sergeant Susan Sanzenbacher of the U.S. Army, our speaker. Mr. Lavery's father, David Charles Lavery, Petty Officer, 3rd Class for the Navy, Vietnam War service, 1969 to 1971. Thank you for your service. I thought the mayor would be here. Has anyone seen the mayor, Mr. Duffett? He may show up later. Bill Olson, grandfather of Stephen Smith in 2nd grade. U.S. Air Force primary station at Elmendorf Air Force Base in Anchorage, Alaska, as an early warning systems operator and air traffic controller. Thank you for your service. Our beloved Mr. Richard Tate. Mr. Tate was principal at this school, C.H. Campbell, for 22 years. He didn't accomplishment in itself. He's a dear friend, and Mr. Tate enlisted in the Army Security Agency in June of 1957. After basic training, he went to Morse Code School at Fort Devens in Massachusetts. In March of 1958, he was assigned to the 12th ASA Field Station in Chitose, Hokkaido, Japan, where he intercepted Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean military traffic during the Cold War. He had top secret security clearance in his position. He was separated from the Army in April of 1960 as a specialist 4th class. He was also my principal for a short time in 2006 when we were in between principals, and of course he was asked by our former superintendent, Mr. Zambrino, to step up to the plate to fill in until we found a principal. And I got to tell you, he was a great boss, one of the top of the top. Thank you, Mr. Tate, for your service. The last person is the best for last, James A. Buste, my spouse. He's been in the Air Force going on 34 years and is still serving at the Youngstown Air Reserve Station in Vienna. As an E-7 Master Sergeant, he's an aircraft electrician. That's what he does with his job. He's served 3 conflicts of war, including Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and the war on ISIS, in which he returned in September of 2014. In addition, he was sent to Texas last year on spraying missions to aid in pest control after Hurricane Harvey. That was September 2017. Mr. Buste is nearing the end of his military career this year, and he plans on retiring this May of 2019. He will finish with 34 years of service to his country. I don't know what he's going to do after he retires, but I know he's going to do grocery shopping, he's going to be cleaning toilets, cooking dinner, doing all those fun things around the house that I do. He'll have a honey-do list every day. James, my spouse, thank you for your service. Our veterans come from all walks of life. They are as different as night and day. This Veterans Day and every day remembers the time to put them first. And thank all the people who served and have preserved the precious freedoms that we oftentimes take for granted with our busy lives. Their lives are characterized by service, sacrifice, integrity, loyalty, duty, and courage. And we must never forget the family members and countless number of veterans that aren't with us any longer and will not celebrate Thanksgiving next week and have no more tomorrows. Finally, I invite all veterans and their families with us today to stand together so that we may say thank you one more time for your courage and dedication to our beloved United States of America. Do I leave anybody out, Mr. Fair?
It is traditional at the patriotic events to honor each branch of the armed services with its own service song, and for the members of each branch to assume the position of attention during the duration of their song.
We now honor America's veterans by playing a salute to the armed forces. We ask that as each military hymn is played, those veterans stand and be recognized. we close on Veterans Day Assembly today, we want to remember to thank all the veterans who are proudly served in our military that protect our rights and freedoms. Let's show Mrs. Sensenbacher, honored guests, and all American military veterans our appreciation by giving them a big round of applause. And now as we finish our assembly, I'd like to invite everyone to join Mrs. Olds and the second graders as they lead us in a beautiful song that every proud American should know. I'm proud to be an American.
If tomorrow all the things were gone, I'd work for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say, I'm proud to be an American, but at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. I'm glad we stand up next to you and the beggars still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the U.S.
Thank you everyone for coming to our Veterans Day Assembly. That concludes our performance. How about another round of applause for our second grade students? And most importantly, for our veterans here today. Thank you for your service, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Happy Veterans Day.